There has never been a more important time to move in a vegan direction. Whether you're ready to start, restart, or re-energize your vegan or plant-based practice, this podcast is for you. I'm Michelle Olander, life coach, vegan, ADHD matriarch, travel lover, and smoothie loather. And I know that it's the details that get in the way of your vegan journey. But I like to believe that the obstacle is always the way. So every week we meet here where I translate the tools of life coaching and Stoic philosophy. I bring you actionable tips, some laughs, interesting guests, and vegan ideas for everyone at any age. All to help you veg your best. Episode 208, August Scaries, Creating September Structure. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing it, my veg your bestie? The days are a bit shorter. Well, at least enough to notice. And are you feeling it? If you're lucky enough to spend a lot of time outdoors, you may be noticing that the angle of the sun and where it rises and sets, it's shifted. And if you have a garden, there are probably a lot of tall weeds, unless you're way more disciplined at that than I am. And if you are someone who gets up early before sunrise, you may be seeing the constellation of Orion over the horizon in the east. And before you roll your eyes about Orion, I can only pick out two constellations, the Big Dipper and Orion. Big Dipper, Ursus Major, whatever it's called, because whatever, so can you. And Orion, that's because my dad would start saying, "Winter is coming." Once it returned to the morning sky in late summer. For my whole life, I would hear him moaning about the days getting shorter and Orion being visible in the morning. So I'm guessing that you have your own signs and signals that winter is coming. And here in Rhode Island by the shore, these things, well, they get pretty obvious by late August, and there's a change in that feel of the air, even if the temperature isn't really that much cooler. But you'll find people in the Stop and Shop or passing you on a walk start saying, feels like fall, or feels like September. And for generations of humans, that is not just some sort of astute observation based on understanding cosmology or the growing seasons. It's an observation linked viscerally. Viscerally, that actually means experienced in the viscera, in the guts. It's experienced viscerally because the intellectual understanding, the awareness that, yeah, it's the end of summer. That's what it says on the calendar. Yeah, it's the upcoming beginning of September. This is not just a common intellectual experience. It's a shared cultural experience. Most people raised in the U.S. would have had a similar change in lifestyle between a more unscripted August and that back to school September. And if your thoughts about back to school as a child, if your thoughts about that change in lifestyle when you were a kid between August and September were more, well, if the feelings were more apprehension than anticipation, they were more dread than joy at the prospect of a new school year, it's super likely that you will have a twinge of that, or maybe even more than a twinge of that in August as an adult. Because for a lot of us, the end of summer, that transition to fall carries a lot of significance, a lot of baggage, if you will. Maybe you lived in a different place in the summer, like literally a different place, or with a different parent or a different person, like a grandparent. And maybe there were very different expectations of you in the summer. So it wasn't just the prospect of a new school year with new teachers or challenges or peers or schedules. It may actually have been a change in custodial parenting or a very different location like a summer camp or a grandparent's farm or a lake house. Now I growing up, lived with the same two parents all year long. And my mom ran, I guess you know, if you were being kind, you'd say a pretty tight ship, because summer was not an idyllic dream. There were reading lists and lists of chores and swim lessons. There were other kinds of forced fun and improving day trips to educational and cultural spots. And frankly, school, for me, was typically more fun and less fraught than a summer with my mom. If you've paid attention over the 200 plus episodes, my mom, who I miss, viscerally, but my mom was an old swamp Yankee, and she didn't have a lot of time for this idea of fun. So my personal conditioning around the transfer from August to September was that it was likely to be more fun than summer at home. All that to say, my veggie bestie, is that this is individual. We all carry a lot of this freight going forward in our adult lives that we may have actually often forgotten or discounted. But that conditioning as a child means that in my case, I typically get a jolt of energy and enthusiasm for a new year that starts in September. While other folks, maybe you, many of us will get a big dose of August anxiety, the August scaries. And one of the things that goes along with August anxiety is a lot of self-judgment. Judgment about what wasn't accomplished over the summer. Do you ever get that? All the things that you said you were going to do or learn or finish or experience or try or make time for during the summer, and now here it is, summer's finished? Because that's a thing we do. Whether we're looking forward to September or not, a lot of us carry that baggage of, I thought this time period would be a time when I could do X, whatever it is. Most of us have an idea that there's going to be that period of time or that season or that schedule change or that situation that will cooperate with us, or at least it won't be at odds with us. And then we're going to be able to do the things that we haven't been doing, that we aren't doing. Things like focus and follow through and find out. But for most of us, your day-to-day default yesterday is likely to be 80, maybe more percent, maybe closer to 100% the same as today or as tomorrow. Without a structure that changes your day-to-day, things don't change that much. Without the architecture of a program to give you those competencies in certain areas that many of us had, when we were kids or in college or in training programs that we enrolled in as young adults, without those structures, we can very often flounder or fail to make the progress we know that we're capable of. Because it can be hard to make time today or tomorrow for something you've never made time for before. Now, I could give you 100 examples, but I'm pretty sure you get it. I'm pretty sure that if you're looking at the calendar and wondering, what the heck happened to the past 6 or 8 weeks, and that you never made consistent time for fill in the blank, for whatever great intention / terrific idea / overdue accomplishment that you had in mind last June. Because whatever it was, congratulations, you're 100% human, and it is, honestly, it's just hard to make progress with new things, no matter how much you want to or think it's essential, because you and your focus are already 100% fully booked. As kids, for good or ill, as kids, we had, most of us, quite a bit of structure, at least for part of the year. There was a lot of family and community architecture and governmental educational standards that created plans of when school starts, what classes are taken at by what ages, reading lists, expectations, vacation schedules, whether you would pass a class or advance to the next grade, whether you needed to get some sort of extra tutoring or a summer course. That was a structure that most of us existed in. And we can talk from now till the end of time about how well or how effective that system worked. We can talk about for whom it worked best or how often it worked against the purposes that it was created. But there was a system. There was a plan. There was an infrastructure. And when we're adults, that infrastructure is no longer about us learning and developing skills and becoming. And that's why, well, how many of us have heard someone say it? Maybe you've said it. I would love to go back to school. Have you ever said that? I would love to go back to school. Okay, maybe not high school, maybe not my high school, but many of us at various times as adults positively yearn for the opportunity to be in an environment organized around us, learning and diving deep and being exposed to new ideas and skills. Why? Why? Because really everything you've learned, everything I've learned, everything everyone we know has learned, it's us who's done the learning. The individual has done the learning to whatever extent. And with the wealth of materials and information that comes to your phone every single day, you could probably learn almost anything in the world on your own. And for the purposes of this podcast, I know many of you are yearning to move in a vegan direction or to be fine-tuning it in some way, maybe preparing more plant-based foods or teaching others how you veganize your family foods. Some of you share about how you want to start up vegan businesses or learn more about nutrition or create vegan support systems in your community or understand more about the issues involved in industrial animal agriculture. Many of you want to use that energy. You're drawn to use the energy and self-actualization you've found in creating your vegan practice, and you want to take that to another important project. And it's not like we can just sweep your schedule clear for this upcoming academic year beginning in September, right? You can't just put everything aside so you can concentrate on what you want to do. But what if you could create an incubator for your goal, for your change, for your plan, for your startup? Do you know this term? Incubators are, traditionally they're a protected environment for newborns or for chicks in their eggs. But in recent years, incubators are a newer term for a protected environment for businesses and ideas or research, where a structure is created, sometimes an actual physical structure with internet and offices and maybe lab space or meeting space for people to work on a new initiative. And sometimes an incubator is more of a designation of time and focus with a real plan or agenda to work and share that work with mentors or clients or investors. And the incubator is a little less physical, but there's still a certain set of formal parameters and decisions made ahead of time about what result what result we're trying to create, what a business intends to create, what a laboratory wants to have investigate. And typically the point is to give that company or that research group an excellent, strong, professional start. So if you've seen some or even many of your good ideas and plans and goals derail or be abandoned by this time of the year, it may be weighing on you as the summer that you had hoped to make progress. This summer's over and you're starting to reinforce that old belief that you just don't have it. Whatever that it is, you reinforce the thought you have about yourself that you don't have the whatever it is to follow through, the motivation, the discipline, the concentration, the clarity, the support, the ability to be the person you want to be and live the life you want to live or make the changes you want to see. But it's not you. You're starting to think it's you maybe, but it's not you. It's not your neurodivergence. It's not your work ethic or your family situation. It's not because you don't have it in you. Last week, I think we talked about the 3 things that really keep getting in the way for most people on their vegan journey, or actually on anything else. And that's over-planning, under-planning, and cycling between those 2 very ineffective strategies. The reason you make complicated plans that are impossible to follow through with, or then you think, oh, I'll just go with the flow and then figure it out more organically or alternate between the 2, it's because you haven't got a structure, a repeatable place where you can experiment and try and create and then actually learn from your results. Like a scientist or like a businessman or a practitioner of any sort, you're just trying to fit your goal in where you can. Catch as catch can. And honestly, there isn't much space for you, right? You are a fully booked human being. So if you're seeing the past 8 weeks as kind of a bust, and I know you're out there, If you're looking at these last days of August with some anxiety because you're feeling that time has gotten away from you again, and that it just keeps happening, you're not alone. You're not alone. This is not unusual, and I would like to encourage you to see where you can build yourself a little structure. Where can you carve out a tiny incubator for whatever is most important right now? What would that look like? What do you need around you to make some progress? And how could you protect that space while you're in the beginning of that progress? Now, I help my coaching clients create that space for themselves depending on where they are in their goal. I mean, some of you may be just starting your vegan journey. You're just considering it. Others of you are maybe longtime vegans, but now you've got other plans and projects that you aren't following through with the way you'd like. We do it all the same way. And in a nutshell, with Veg Your Best, I say it goes like this. What do you want? What do you want? It's okay if you change your mind later, but what do you want? Be specific. Why? Why do you want that? Tell me all the reasons. Okay, well, what part of it can you already do? Or what part of it is pretty easy 80% of the time? That's super. Now high five yourself and let's keep doing that. Let's keep doing what's pretty easy or easy 80, 90% of the time. Now, what gets in the way? This could be a long list. Make a list of all the obstacles, everything that comes up, because it's important. Knowing where things go wrong is very, very helpful. You might interpret, oh my God, that long list, no wonder I can't do what I want to do. No, once you solve for a couple of those obstacles, you will see how much problem-solving capabilities you have in most of them. But make a list of all the obstacles, every single one of them you can think of, all the scenarios, all the people, all the social situations or the health situations. Bring it all up. Now, what is currently impossible for you? Along the lines of your goal, what just can't happen, you just can't do, not gonna happen, just impossible. That's fine too. We're not gonna worry about that or those things at all for the next little while, at all. Because in my experience, the things we think are completely impossible are actually the things that resolve themselves when you concentrate on what is possible. And to me, in a nutshell, that's it. That's your mini Veg Your Best incubator. Whether you're working on your vegan or plant-based practice, whether you're looking to build more of an outreach or advocacy, whether you want to become a professional vegan or just on a new relationship or writing a book or becoming more of an active creator. That's the mini Veg Your Best incubator. Beginning with the information that we've just talked about, we can design a protective environment to help you keep making progress and help you keep building your self-trust. Because that's what we need. We need your belief that you do accomplish things and you do have follow through. And if you're a normal person, you're thinking, yeah, okay, but that sounds kind of slow. It's not going to fix everything on your list instantly, but if you're looking at the last 6 or 8 weeks of results and you're dissatisfied, I wonder if you might want to just try this Veg Your Best model. Sometimes we have to slow down to go fast. I think if you watch the Olympics, a lot of people talked about that, about how the changes in their training, they had to slow down, not just do faster, better, stronger. They had to find the areas that were a problem, slow down and address them. Sometimes it's the little things that we are not addressing that are bogging the whole plan down. You know, maybe I remember when my kids were in swim lessons and the swim teachers would say, you're not keeping your fingers together. Keep your fingers together when you're doing your strokes in the water because the water's rushing between your fingers. Keep your fingers together. It gives you a little, and I remember all the kids saying, oh my gosh, what difference does that make? It's a small difference, but it's a difference. You sort that one out, and now you fix something else. Sometimes we have to slow down to go fast. And you're a smart person, you know those are little things, and you're thinking, Michelle, I want to figure out the exciting thing. I want to just hold space for you, understand that I've been there. I still find myself thinking that, but the big things come so much more predictably when you have those small things sorted. So, do yourself this enormous favor as we go into September, my Veg Your Bestie. Wherever you're feeling stuck, it's not you. Just take my word for it. It's not you. It's just that you don't have the structure you need right now to make the progress in that area that you're stuck in. And you can for sure do this on your own. You can create a structure. You can, I often recommend that you band together with a couple of other people who are kind of chill and not extremely controlling. Find a couple of like-minded people to create a structure and support each other on creating their structures. Create yourself a mini incubator for whatever it is you want to do. And you can always reach out. We can always brainstorm and strategize together, or we could actually work together on your goal, because coaching is the most effective way I've ever seen to get traction. We don't need to fix you or figure out your past. We don't need to figure out what you've been doing wrong so much. We just want to use the gifts and the energies and the skills you already have to build you a life that you are excited about. That's not changing you. That's not fixing you. That's just creating the structure that supports you. Now, in the meantime, this week, I want you to notice if you're having some feelings of regret or disappointment about what you accomplished this summer, and notice if you've been experiencing some August anxiety or those August scaries. If so, don't just try and think happy thoughts or change it or get busy pushing it out of your mind. Those feelings are actually telling you that there's something you are uniquely wanting and capable of doing. And that is, I think, a really good thing. You just haven't been able so far to consistently nurture that thing the way it needs nurturing. And I want to help you with that in September, beginning today. DM me, email me, book yourself into my calendar. Look for how you can, this week, consistently veg your best. Veg Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Veg Your Best team if you would hit subscribe leave us a 5-star review or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.